Greetings and good evening, one and all. I am Dr. Wolf, and I'm here at the Running of the Leaves convention in Denver, Colorado. We've been doing a number of fun things today, but one thing in particular, we just barely got back from watching Doctor Strange.
Greetings and good evening, Doctor. I am Dr. Wolf, and I'm here to talk to you. I see you're not eager to talk to me. That makes me sad.
This makes me fairly confused. Just a bit.
Would you say it's very strange?
Probably.
I am the great deceiver. Hello.
Does this count as identity theft?
Oh, I'm just inspired by that guy who said he was Two Snacks and the creator of Two Best Sisters Play. Turned out he was Big Fibber. Big Fibber McGee.
That was a bit weird to learn about, wasn't it?
Yes, an interesting way to start off the convention, but hey, what are you going to do?
Right.
You go see a good movie.
A way past your expectations kind of movie, really. I mean, I've watched a lot of Marvel films. Not all of them, but a lot of them over the past 8 years or so. This one, perhaps more than any other, really went past what I was expecting to see.
It is a situation similar to Guardians of the Galaxy, where you go in not knowing a great deal of the lore, and a lot of it just surprises you. Don't know if we're going to go immediately into semi-spoiler territory.
Yeah.
There are some things we can't avoid talking about in order to review this movie or give our thoughts on it. Most of it having to do with the opening and the first act.
I do want to say, before we get into any spoiler territory, you should go watch this.
Yes.
You should absolutely go watch this. For one, you will be blown away by the special effects in this film. Every scene where they are disrupting reality and opening up portals to other dimensions, and holy cow, even just watching the characters going through this, you feel like you need to sit down, even though you're already sitting down in a movie theater.
Although I will say, if you're very motion sensitive or easily disoriented, maybe give it a pass. There are a lot of scenes that can really give you a sense of vertigo or confusion. If looking through a kaleidoscope makes you uncomfortable, this is an exceptional, exponential growth of that discomfort. Mm-hmm. And yet you can also have sort of a roller coaster feel of whee!
Yes, definitely. Oh, goodness.
I'm sorry, but maybe before we should mention the trailers we witnessed. Oh, did we witness some trailers?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring down the mood. Captain, bring down. Hello.
One particular trailer, it took him less than 3 seconds before he's like, oh no. Oh no.
Johnny Depp, why you hate me? Why you want to kill my joy?
Still making another Pirates of the Caribbean film, which apparently he didn't know was coming.
No, this one was a complete blindside. I mean, you know on some level they're going to milk the cash cow, but the minute I saw a pirate ship, the music said it was a pirate ship, the look of the ship said it was a pirate ship, it was a very Caribbean setting. It's like, no.
But then, a couple trailers later, spirits perked up again.
Oh, spirits perked up again.
Because basically you just hear, ooga chaka, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing next Guardians for sure.
Oh, side note, I can never listen to Hooked on a Feeling without wanting to go dancing through alien ruins. I think I might have an issue.
Whatever you say.
Well, there you go.
All right, back to Doctor Strange. Yes. Aside from the mind-bending special effects that are immensely impressive, Benedict Cumberbatch is perfect in this role. I don't think there was a single scene where I felt like, maybe he could have done that just a little bit better. he really sells this character. I have no knowledge of this character before watching this film. I don't read the comics. And he completely sold everything that this character was going through.
I have read the comics, not Doctor Strange directly. During my enjoyment of Spider-Man, pre One More Day, Doctor Strange was heavily involved in guiding Spider-Man as he was entering realms sort of outside his territory. And so I got to read about that, and I felt that when I watched this movie, this is Doctor Strange. This is the look, the feel, the tone. Benedict Cumberbatch nailed it. He's not much, I don't really think of him as Khan, but as both Sherlock and Doctor Strange, similar but very distinct characters.
Third thing that we want to mention. This movie will make you laugh. A lot.
This was a unique thing. This is not a spoiler, but I'm going to say this. You know at the beginning that Marvel opens with the graphic of Marvel Studios and the comics are flipping through the pages, turning with a red tint. Well, it starts that way, but now they've updated the graphic to include the movie franchise itself. It has grown so self-sufficient, so distinct, it is its own brand now, and they are celebrating that. And I mention this because the humor has always been present in Marvel movies. Even ones that try to be a little bit more serious recognize you have to throw in the dark joke. This has been the DC movie franchise's downfall. They are afraid to laugh at themselves or to make their characters look like they might actually have fun or have a little bit of humor to combat the strain upon them. Marvel understands this, and therefore their characters are much more human.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange's humanity is a key feature in this movie.
I will say that not every joke hit the mark, but maybe about 8 in every 10 makes you laugh out loud.
So, and maybe cover that more as we get deeper into spoiler territory.
Yeah.
But yes, both of us give a hearty recommendation. Go see this movie.
Especially in the big screen theater. Don't wait till it gets on your TV at home. This requires a theater experience to fully enjoy.
I will say that some scenes you could tell, we saw the two-dimensional broadcast. I know there's IMAX 3D or large scale, but not quite IMAX 3D. The thing is, I don't like 3D. Those of you who watch Team 4-Star and Hellsing Abridged, you know their commentary on 3D movies and TV, and I agree wholeheartedly. But you could tell in some scenes that it was designed to be in 3D, and 3D to me always looks very fake. Except maybe if it's already a cartoon like How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay.
There you go. But yeah, I think we've given as much of a preamble.
Yeah.
So this is
for those of you who want to avoid all spoilers, go watch it. Come back to the comments here, talk about how great it was, or maybe if you found something that you really didn't like, because those moments are very few and very far between, in my opinion. But by all means.
We'll be here when you get back.
Right. Now, minor spoiler territory, basically talking about things that are revealed just within the first third of the film. Doctor Strange loses the ability to do surgery because his hands have been broken beyond repair. They shake uncontrollably.
And you see a great deal of the treatment. There's nothing, I wouldn't call it excessively, but I'm the kind of guy who cringes at a surgery scene. I see a person getting a needle stuck in the neck. Yeah, that's exactly how I sound. But, so there is sort of that cringe factor, although here's the great humor, kind of on us as the audience. As much as everyone cringes when you see him in this car wreck and his hands getting mangled by debris, or when you see him in recovery, the true groan of pain and just utter discomfort came when he turned and lashed out at the woman who was supporting him and offering encouragement. This was his ultimate low point. And the whole audience is just, dude.
I could hear that, yeah. It was like, oh, no, ooh. And then 3 seconds later, Oh no, ooh,
Oh no, he didn't.
not quite like that, but
I have a
you
unique
feel
memory.
just how low he is in that moment, and yeah, it's kind of hard to root for him after saying something like that.
Before this movie, I did watch some initial impressions from people, and a lot of folks were making the comparison to Iron Man.
In part, yeah.
They're on parallel paths. They start out supremely talented, but also extremely arrogant individuals. And to borrow an insight from CR, he recently said in one of his videos, strong abilities create strong characteristics. And when you are exceptional at a skill, it's easy to get full of yourself.
Mm.
And it's funny, Strange is more likable in the beginning than Tony Stark was. I mean, Tony was living the privileged life and he's just flaunting it. This starts with Strange saving a man's life. Yeah, he's full of himself, but he's doing more than Tony Stark did. And yet, while Tony Stark fell through very difficult and violent ordeals, he never reached the emotional pits that we witnessed Stephen Strange go through.
Yeah.
This Iron Man focused on Tony Stark's privilege and success and entitlement. We get a taste of that, but we spend a greater majority of the time on Strange's sense of loss.
Yeah. That is until he reaches the Ancient One. And from that very first moment that you are shown the world beyond, the movie really draws you back in. That first third, there are moments where you start wondering, am I really going to like this film? But no. Once it reaches that point with the Ancient One, you're drawn in for the rest of the entire film. No questions asked.
And it's sort of a paradox. The very first scene in this movie is not on Stephen Strange. It is on his enemy making his first move. And at first you're like, there is this, I've got no establishing shot. I've got no context. Who are these people? Okay, they're doing this now. You feel like, okay, something big is happening and I'm completely detached. Then you back off, you return to what we think of as the real world, and Stephen acts as our guide. So when he gets hit with the unknown, suddenly we're more invested as well.
Yeah. I will say that for a while, I was enjoying this film. I was invested in this film, but I wasn't admiring the film, at least not yet. That didn't happen until close to the end, when they are finally starting to wrap up the central conflict, when they are actually really discussing what's important. That's what really hit home for me. And I'm not going to go into specifics, but like we mentioned before, Doctor Strange was a brilliant surgeon. And he still is, but is unable to operate anymore because his hands are broken beyond repair. He has lost something that he has been passionate about for much of his life. And what does that do to a person?
Well, it removes the center of his world, his sense of purpose. His hands really are. Benedict Cumberbatch really does. I'm doing it far more exaggerated than he. Yeah. The tremor, and this movie rightly makes a very good step. You see him perform very delicate surgery by hand. Even the other doctor saying you can't do this freehand. I'm assuming they mean having a medical probe of some sort. Mm. So it hits you all the harder when you see how high he is and then how far he's fallen. And that is what prompts this. For a time, it is the hero's journey. He has suffered a death of who he was. In a sense, one Stephen Strange did die in that car accident. Now it's the rebirth. Now it is the journey of discovering the unknown, help from mystical sources, including very aggressive fashion, and then loss of a teacher. I don't know if that really counts as a spoiler. The minute you see the scenario, you know, yeah, there's a doom flag.
Kind of.
And then the return to the world, however, he is no longer the man he was. He's been reborn as master of a new skill, and will resume the journey. Presumably there will be more death of self and rebirth in the next movie.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I don't know if a lot of people stress in the hero's journey. You don't do one cycle and you're done. It just means you start over.
I do want to talk about, without going into specifics, the ending conflict.
Oh.
The ending battle scenes. There's one in every Marvel film, but this one in particular, it goes in a direction you really don't expect. And I love movies where it keeps me guessing as to what's going to happen next. There was one moment where it looks really fun and really intriguing, and they move on to the next step, and suddenly I'm like, wait, are they really doing what I think they're doing? That seems stupid. You wait about 1 minute later, and they're like, oh, wow. Oh, that's clever. Oh, that's really clever. Why didn't I see that coming?
Oh, it's an ingenious solution. It's innovative, it's creative, it's established. Maybe looking back, some of the dialogue in hindsight seems heavy-handed, but it just strikes you as like, oh, that's really clever setup. And Doctor Who fans, I defy you to not think back on a certain confession dial. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah.
But I guess we can't really talk about the grand conflict without talking about the villain, which is usually the Achilles heel of Marvel movies. The villains are not interesting. We saw Ant-Man together and agreed the villain was the least interesting aspect.
They really hammered in, this guy is evil, and it just made him boring.
In Ant-Man?
In Ant-Man.
This one, the villain is more a mirror to Strange. They share all philosophies. Basically, you don't spend a lot of time with him. You don't become sympathetic towards him. You recognize why he did what he did, but it's sort of, from a distance, kind of clinical. He is what Strange can become, but the struggle lies not with empathizing with the villain. That's why Loki remains the Marvel villain that everyone talks about.
Yeah.
You saw how much his history tore at him. And in a way, you felt bad for him, even though he was going to do horrible things. You don't feel bad for the villain in this. Although maybe I feel like he should get some dermatology cream.
Yeah, probably.
Right around the eyes. But ultimately, the Marvel heroes are always their own worst enemies.
Yeah.
And the Ancient One stresses this. I tried to save you from yourself. But the fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how to describe this? Seeing a hamster run on a wheel. Now imagine your superheroes doing that. That is, in essence, some of the physical humor within this film.
In part, yeah.
In part. Now, it happens in the middle of a fight.
Yes.
And so for a little bit there, you're like, okay, are we watching a Super Sentai Power Rangers? Because the villain's not really attacking while he's posing.
Yeah.
But it's also just hilarious to see. I can't say my love of slapstick is just drinking this up.
Mm-hmm.
Also on the humor, since we're a little bit into spoiler territory, Iron Man makes people laugh because he has witty and sarcastic remarks, and there's just this biting sense of humor. Sherlock tears people down with his comments and dismissiveness, and you kind of laugh because you're kind of cringing for the victim. This movie, a lot of its humor lies on the fact that Doctor Strange fails at humor. It is that awkward moment where you're just like, oh, you did not just say that. And somehow it's mastered that technique. Like I say, 8 in 10 jokes.
8 out of every 10 jokes hit the mark. That still means 2 out of every 10, sort of, but the majority of them definitely give you laughs throughout the entire audience.
And when I think about it, a lot of the movies in what I believe is now the third phase of the Marvel cinematic line, Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, all have had tremendous humor. Civil War was more serious, but it too added some great jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes just from physical expressions. I don't know if you've seen Civil War.
I did see Civil War, and I
Okay.
think the best moments are actually the lines from heroes like Spider-Man and Ant-Man.
Oh, yes.
Those two steal the show when they're on screen.
Though I also think of Red... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. Red Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're watching Steve kiss the girl, and they're just like that. But we're talking about Doctor Strange, which is just fun. I don't really want to give too much else away because this is a wonderful experience. It is the graphics, like I say, when they're trying to force the 3D, that always undoes you.
Yeah.
It's just unavoidable. But when bending reality, you thought this is Inception dialed up to a 10. I mean, just seeing reality fold on itself, almost becoming gearworks. Yeah, the gears of the universe start turning and they sort of reveal themselves by distorting what we take for granted. And that is a lot of fun. But I will say the first time Doctor Strange is forced into this bigger world, it's the man in the cave. He's lived all his life in darkness, he's thrown to light, and he's blinded. And it hits you, the vulnerability.
I know I said this before, but watching that one scene where he's being thrown every which way throughout the universe, you feel like you need to desperately sit down, even though you're already sitting down. That's how intense it is. Wonderful work for special effects.
Now, there is a romance. That seems to be a given. I will say I like that the heroine, she's not in your face, but she is assertive, strong. She has a great deal of empathy. Like I say, everyone cringes when Stephen is treating her so poorly. And you see him come back especially when he apologizes. But their final parting is nicely subdued.
Yeah.
It is not overdone. It is not the grand love to shake the universe. It is sort of an acceptance that they're living in two very different worlds now.
And that moment, that emotional moment, the way it ends,
yeah,
it gets you laughing again.
It gets you
Without destroying any of the emotion before, it gets you laughing again.
If anything, I feel incredibly sorry for the heroine. It's like, I'm sorry, you've been through a lot. You've had a long day, and you're still helping people in the ER. I salute you.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, I do appreciate this movie a lot more than most of the other Marvel films, even though some of the other Marvel films are probably more fun. This one just really hit home for me a bit more. It made me ponder myself. And a lot of that has to do with Doctor Strange's central conflict of losing something that was so precious to him, that he had worked so hard to perfect. And I suppose I shouldn't go on another tirade here. Don't go on a spiel, because I could be talking for 10 minutes about that. So if anyone's curious, go watch A Moment with Dr. Wolf. Dr. Wolf and Striving Onwards Without Your Dreams. That may help explain things a little bit better. Actually talks a little bit about Flight to the Finish, which, again, kind of a similar struggle. But go watch the movie. We both had a lot of fun. Stick around for the after credits scenes, both of them.
Oh, yes.
And, yeah, come back and write in the comments below what you thought.
Look forward to hearing your thoughts.
In the meantime, I am Dr. Wolf.
I'm Silver Quill.
And we look forward to hearing from you.